Good evening. We are an intimate group tonight, yes? I hope everybody's enjoying the cool breeze on their faces during the zazen, the back of the neck. It was so much colder this morning. I put my purple sweater on in August. A real delight. And walking over for morning zazen, there were not just the gold and the brown leaves on the sidewalk, but some red leaves now. So it seems that fall's it seems early to me. And then I'm out walking today on the bike path out here. And there is this magnificent thistle. I don't know if anyone else has noticed it. It's taller than me, if you can believe it. It's over 5 feet tall. It is such a manifestation of summer. I mean, this thing is somehow evaded all the trail groundskeeping that happens all the time out there. And it has just been growing and growing and growing. And it has noxious weeds, thistle seeds in all states, purple, white, flowing off, going everywhere. And every time I walk by it, I just stop because it's so magnificent. And so it's like it's summer still with this thistle. And Novice Jukai brought in all these amazing cherry tomatoes and little bell green peppers that Christy has grown. And they're exquisite. They're like eating sunshine, and it just fills your whole body. I was noticing the beautiful zinnias. Is that what they are? Soan. Soan has placed all over the altars in the temple. And so it just feels like summer, and yet the air is so cool. And there's red leaves on the sidewalk, and I can wear my purple sweater. And you can just really feel the Dharma expressing in each one of those things. Every noxious seed off of the thistle, every cherry tomato full of sunshine, every beautiful flower arrangement. So last Wednesday, we got into it pretty deep, talking about our noble friend Soke dying, and about preparing for her funeral here. And on Saturday, her family had received word from hospice that she was most likely in the last 24 hours of her life. And so we considered the fact that we would be having a funeral this week. And here it is Wednesday night, and our dear friend continues to draw breath, and her breath is becoming more erratic now, and it's more shallow. Signs of the body and the elements separating are becoming more prominent. And still so much more than 24 hours as we were planning on and expecting. And so there becomes this element of now waiting. Right? Waiting, and how often have we planned for something significant in our lives or in our friends' lives, our families' lives, only to find out that actually, no, that is not the plan. And when we're waiting for something like a death, there's a way that we can get really anxious about that, right? Really kind of pulled out of our practice and into this longing for relief for our friend or for her family and for ourselves, right? Relief over not having to be in this place of this type of pain, looking for a way out of that. And so waiting can be very separating, right? Okay, I don't want to brag, but I have a lot of experience in waiting. for real. Like, I have some professional training. I used to be a midwife, a home birth midwife. And as long as everything's healthy with a mom and a baby at a home birth, we will wait for days for that baby. We will make the oatmeal, we will feed the cats, we will read the books in the house, we'll monitor mom and baby and just let them do their thing. And it can take an hour, 2 days, 3 days. And you can ask Kokai. It brings a tremendous element of unpredictability into the midwife's home. I'm leaving, I'll be back sometime. But there's this thing that happens a lot of times at a birth where everybody's waiting and they're getting more anxious and it's taking too long, and we want to meet the baby and we want to see the mom not be in this pain anymore, and we want to go home and sleep. And I don't mean we, the midwives, I mean we, the people surrounding the mother. So there's this longing for something to shift so that everybody's more comfortable. And midwives, very much, if they're good midwives, really practice the Dharma of birth. And we learn how to abide in that space, how to abide comfortably in the discomfort, not separating from it, being constantly tuned into it without importing our own longings and wants into it. So these in-between moments that we experience all the time, right? Not just with death or with birth, but waiting for a diagnosis. You won't get the test results till Friday. Waiting for the next promotion, waiting for the kids to grow up, waiting for the kids to move out, waiting for the kids to come back, waiting for the next Netflix series to be released. We can actually just live our whole lives in this waiting, this wishing for something else, not that, definitely this, the clinging and the aversion. Waiting for the bell to ring at the end of the period of Zazen. Waiting to be sure. That's a tough one. And usually what we're waiting for is relief. Relief from my knee that's hurting. Relief from the fear, from greed, from anger, from ignorance. And just waiting. So how do we get comfortable in that? How do we get really deeply, radically comfortable in the waiting, where it's not just 10% easier, but actually that true relief, right? And so that's just our Dharma practice. That's what we're here for. That radical comfort that comes from not being separate. Several months ago, Doan Roshi just gave a beautiful teisho on the sun-faced Buddha, moon-faced Buddha koan. Do you remember that teisho? It's a very short koan. Essentially, this wonderful Zen master, Master Ma, is sick and dying, and he's on his deathbed. And the head of the monastery asks him how he is. How are you feeling? And he says sun-faced Buddha, moon-faced Buddha, right? He doesn't talk about how he's waiting to get better or he's waiting to die. He's wanting to die, he's wanting to get better. He doesn't talk about those things. He doesn't talk about how he's wanting someone to pay attention to him or people to stop paying attention to him. He just says sun-faced Buddha, moon-faced Buddha. And all these in-between times, all these waiting times, these are such rich opportunities for practice the energy for awakening is so great in these in-between times. And it's just right there for us. So these in-between times, they can all be considered Bardo states. Bardo is a Tibetan word that just means gap or intermediate state. So we're very familiar here at the temple thinking about the Bardo in terms of death, the state that the mind continues through for rebirth. We call it the Bardo of death, the death Bardo. And there's a beautiful book that explains much guidance for the practitioner to get through this process, to travel through well and have a good rebirth, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. You've probably all heard of it. And reread part of that during our vigil when we have a funeral here, and our Jukai members also read that as a practice for 49 days when one of our practitioners dies. We do that for 49 days while our noble friend is traveling the Bardo states, navigating through, and we're companioning in this way. We're offering the teachings as guidance and encouragement to our friend. I think I'm just going to read a little bit of that just so we can hear what that's like, what I'm talking about in terms of guidance that we give to our friends in the death Bardo. Noble friend, now is the moment of death. The time has come for you to start out. You are going home, O nobly born. Now is the moment. Before you is mind, open and wide as space. Simple, without center or circumference. Now is the moment of death. Your mind in this moment is total transparency. No color, no substance, empty. Sparkling, pure and vibrant, a mass of light, not stopped by any obstacle. It has neither beginning nor end. Go toward the light, noble friend. Merge with it. Merge with the light. Death has happened. It happens to everyone. Noble friend, merge with the clear white light. Don't long for what's finished. You can't stay here anymore, dear one. Death has happened. It happens to everyone. In this crucial moment, do not be afraid. Whatever appears, whatever happens, recognize it as the form of your own thoughts. Please do not be afraid of your own radiance. You no longer have a physical body. Death has happened, so nothing can hurt you. You can't die again. Don't be afraid. Merge with the light, noble friend. I first heard that reading when we had a Sangha member die, and I was in need of a lung transplant myself. And there's something so comforting about hearing that. More than comforting, that's not even the right word. Comforting is far inadequate. But the practice of holding that space for your friend and your friend holding that space for you and offering those teachings, and just that exists is so precious, and we're so fortunate to have even encountered it. So the Bardo state, the in-between state of death and rebirth that we've been talking about, It's not really restricted to that time, is it? I mean, we are constantly encountering in between states, gaps, intermediate states. These transitional, liminal spaces where we don't know what's going to happen. And we don't need to know what's going to happen. This is the real richness, isn't it? This is the real juice of the whole human life. I mean, if you consider, there's even this beautiful space between each breath, between finishing an in-breath and an out-breath, and between the out-breath and the in-breath. We are literally living in bardo at all times. And so the Tibetan tradition assigns 6 sort of different bardo states, 3 for the living and 3 for the dead. In the living bardo, the first one is the bardo of this life. So this is our karma, this is our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. This is our bardo of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do about my child? And the bardo of weddings and divorces and waiting for our friends and supporting our friends and losing our friends and grief, all the bardo of the living. Then there's the bardo of the dreaming, in that beautiful liminal space between wake and sleep, where all sorts of magic happens. We think about dreaming where we have this more relaxed consciousness, and then we wake up and we're still in our bed and our cat is smashing our foot and the pillow is hot, and we get very used to seeing the illusion and how it can seem so real in the dream. And then here now is the cat. It's not even supposed to be in the bedroom. Reality. And there's the bardo of meditation. Our teachers tell us to die every time we sit on the cushion, right? And so when we're meditating, this is where we can train our minds, where we cultivate that clear awareness so that when we encounter all these other bardos, including the death bardo, we've cultivated that awareness. And then the bardo of death, the death bardos also have 3. There's the bardo of the moment of death, of dying, of the dying process as the elements are separating, right? This is where our dear friend is right now, in the bardo of the dying. And we practice in the bardo of the living right now. The moment of death is the bardo of the dharmata. This is that pure white light, merging with that pure white light from the passage from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And from there is the bardo of the becoming. And this is where we offer the guidance to our noble friends, where we offer companioning as they by themselves travel through this state. So whether it's the bardo of the living or the bardo of the dead, we're always working with, we're in mind, right? This is all mind. And when we're practicing in the bardo of the living, especially, we have this precious opportunity to be prepared for the bardo of the death. And all of this is wrapped in vow, right? Our practice in this state, the bardo of the living, is wrapped in our bodhisattva vow for the sake of all beings. And the power of this vow and of the bodhicitta really gives us the strength and the courage and the fortitude and the everything we need to practice fully in each moment. Not just waiting it out, not in that anxious, worried state of waiting it out, but actually present. And we get to see this, we're so lucky, we get to see this all the time in the way our teachers practice. Do you remember the pandemic? Do you? No, someone has forgotten the pandemic. I remember the pandemic. And I remember watching the temple come to life on Zoom. And, personally, this was great for me because I couldn't get to the temple anyways. I was too sick, needing my transplant. But watching how our teachers, in this deep, calm abiding, expressing the Dharma, keeping the temple going with the support of many, many Sangha members and leaders, but keeping that going in this tremendous time of not knowing. I mean, what a wonderful thing. So these days we're in the building, a lot of us in person, a lot of the time. And a lot of things come up. I work really closely with the teachers, and a lot of issues come up that we don't know what to do about. And reliably, our abbot will get almost a little excited about the issues because they are such opportunities for us to see where these edges are and to see where our blind spots are and to push through them and push past those barriers and work on this together. And it's always in the context of this not knowing. And by not knowing, I mean not putting ourselves separate from it, not knowing what the answer is, but being profoundly open and practicing in vow. This is how we can navigate. And then another thing that I've seen our teachers do many times is this asking for help. And we've been talking about this off and on these days at the temple. But in this not knowing, in this deep spirit of not knowing, actually bowing down to that, offering the incense, and giving this not knowing, this bardo, this unknown, just giving that over to Tara or to Kuan Yin and letting it be, not needing to control it. So in all these bardo states, we have to find a way that we actually abide there, where we're not fighting it, not knowing it, not wanting to make it something that it isn't, putting our own agenda into all these different situations. So this calm abiding, this deep relaxation into whatever is arising, this is our practice. This waiting for relief, just full of clinging and aversion and suffering. There's a way that we can choose to do that, and there's another choice we can make to practice with it. Do you see how that's connected? Like this precious opportunity to practice in the bardo of the living, how that will just directly impact how we experience the bardo of the death. By the time we get to the bardo of the death, we have no choice but to experience it alone with our karma. In the bardo of the living, in the bardo of dreaming, and in the bardo of meditation, we have a precious and fleeting opportunity to practice, to use every ingredient of our life, to not spare the Dharma assets, while we have this precious human life. And that's why we're here. Dedicate the merit of this talk to all of those who are in an in-between place in their living and their dying and in their death, and who have not had the opportunities to practice, to not have had the teachings, and to not be in noble friendship. May all who are traveling the bardo travel well. For the sake of all beings without exception, may it be so.